After Iowa, Trump heads to Phoenix, Arizona, then off to Detroit, part of his ongoing appeal to minority communities and arguing Democratic policies have, in a lot of ways, failed these communities. A message that could resonate in struggling Detroit, perhaps, but a lot of folks say his delivery is perhaps killing his message. Joining us now, Trump supporter, Pastor Mark Burns. Pastor, nice to see you, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Happy to be here.
You know, you might appreciate this line. My grandmother used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And reasonable people would agree that Donald Trump has got a lot of points that make sense about what's happened to the black community, especially over the past couple of decades. But is the way he's saying it alienating a lot of folks?
Well, you know, I really think this is a time where Donald Trump should be commended because, in general, the Republican Party do not reach out after the African-American community. But I believe for the first time in history in the Republican Party, you're going to see Donald Trump declaring to the African-American community and pointing out actual facts that has been plaguing our communities under a Democratic Party rule, and why it's so important that we as African Americans, where our net worth is extremely low compared to other families and other ethnic groups in this family, the welfare that is plaguing our community, the food stamps that is plaguing our communities, and even the crime rate in certain communities. This is a time where Donald Trump is really connecting to the African American community.
But, Pastor, no one would argue that the African-American community in a lot of cities around the country is struggling. It certainly is. The question is what policies is Donald Trump putting forth that promises African-Americans in these communities a better future for them and their kids?
Well, see, I think it's that type of a dialogue that is really keeping our country so divided, and it is really a race-baiting...
Pastor, forgive me. I'm not trying to ask about...
No.
I'm trying to ask about policies. I'm trying to ask what's Trump going to do.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Let me get my statement out. I really think it's that type of a language and communication that's really keeping us divided, where Donald Trump has been speaking in plain language, dealing with issues that is going to impact not just the African-American community, but every community in this country, because poverty, sir, knows no color. Poverty don't care whether you're African-American or Hispanic-American. And that's what the Democratic Party has been doing.
I'm still confused, though, Pastor. If by asking what policies Donald Trump is putting forth, that's dividing America?
Well, no, hear what I'm saying. What I am simply saying is we shouldn't be talking about what is Donald Trump going to do for the African-American community. We should be talking about what Donald Trump, when he becomes president, is going to do for the United States of America.
So what's he going to do?
Every race, because he's been speaking it from day one. Number one, we need jobs. But specifically within the African-American community, parents need to have the right to choose the schools that their children can go to. There are some children born in underprivileged, underperforming neighborhoods and schools. They're automatically doomed to fail day one they enter the school system. And right now, Donald Trump is saying, when I'm president, I'm going to make sure that there's policies in place that's going to allow the parents to choose the schools.
So school choice, you think, is going to would make a big difference in African-American communities?
Without question, because African-Americans, as soon as we, again, in many cases, not every case, but in many cases, and we need to quit using language like every black person is the same. Every black person is in the same situation, and we're not. We're a diverse group of individuals. We're only connected by the heritage of our race, but we're still a very diverse group of individual people.
I hear there. I wanted to get your thoughts on this tweet from Donald Trump talking about Dwayne Wade's cousin, who was killed tragically in Chicago. And here's the tweet. It said, Dwayne Wade's cousin was just shot and killed walking her baby in Chicago. Just what I have been saying. African Americans will vote Trump. And there's been a lot of pushback on Twitter. This just came out in the past hour or two that Mr. Trump didn't offer any condolences, didn't talk about the family and their grief through this time, obviously having lost the mother of a child here. How do you feel about that? You think that's a fair criticism, or do you think Mr. Trump is right to make this a political issue here?
Well, first of all, as a pastor, I do offer my condolences. What a tragic event that is taking place, and it is obviously a sign of why the African American communities in the urban centers of our country really need a change of leadership to where, again, I'm not trying to politicize because I don't want to do that, but I think Donald Trump was simply trying to point out the passion that is even in his own heart, the why African Americans who are in some desperate places in our own country, while we're spending $4 trillion overseas with wars of Afghanistan, Iraq. Think about it. You just take $1 trillion and bring it back to our urban communities, just $1 trillion, and spend it specifically just on urban communities in our country. I think we would have crime rate would completely drop down. So without question, I think Donald Trump was just echoing and declaring to the country why it's so important that this crime rate that is plaguing, it's a fact, plaguing our African American communities come to a minimum.
All right. Well, I don't know where we're going to find an extra $1 trillion when we're $17 trillion in debt, but we'll look, Pastor. We appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
All right. Good to see you.